Annabel lived in a small village near the Whispering Woods. The village was quaint, with cobblestone streets and charming cottages. Everyone knew each other, and stories of the woods were passed down through generations. The woods were ancient and full of mystery. Tall, gnarled trees whispered secrets to those who dared to listen, and the air was thick with the scent of pine and earth. People whispered about magical creatures and hidden wonders. Some spoke of fairies with delicate wings, while others mentioned elusive forest spirits. Annabel loved to explore, her imagination fueled by these tales. She dreamed of adventures in the Whispering Woods. In her mind, she was a brave explorer, uncovering secrets and making friends with the mystical beings that lived there. One sunny morning, Annabel decided to explore. The sky was clear, and the sun cast a warm glow over the village, making it the perfect day for an adventure. She packed a picnic basket with her favorite treats: fresh bread, cheese, and a few apples. She knew she might get hungry on her journey. She took her favorite book of fairy tales, hoping to find a quiet spot in the woods to read and let her imagination run wild. She tiptoed into the woods, her heart filled with excitement. Each step felt like the beginning of a grand adventure, and she could hardly contain her joy. The trees were tall and green, their leaves rustling gently in the breeze. They seemed to welcome her into their world. Sunlight dappled the forest floor, creating a mosaic of light and shadow. It was as if the forest itself was alive, dancing in the sunlight. Birds sang sweet songs in the branches, their melodies blending harmoniously with the rustling leaves. It was a symphony of nature. Annabel felt a sense of wonder. Every sound, every sight was a new discovery, and she marveled at the beauty around her. Deep in the woods, Annabel found a tiny cottage. It looked like something out of her fairy tale book, almost too perfect to be real. It was covered in ivy and wildflowers. Curiosity bubbled inside her. Who lived here? What stories did this cottage hold? She had to take a closer look. With each step, her excitement grew. She felt like she was on the brink of discovering something truly magical. Annabel cautiously approached the cottage. The air was thick with the scent of pine and the distant chirping of birds. Each step she took was deliberate, her heart racing with a mix of fear and curiosity. The old cottage stood silently, almost as if it were waiting for her. She peeked through the window, her breath fogging up the glass. The interior was dimly lit by the fading afternoon light, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Dust covered the furniture inside, thick layers that spoke of years of neglect. Cobwebs hung like delicate curtains in the corners, and the air seemed heavy with the weight of forgotten memories. It looked like no one had been there for a very long time. Annabel tried the doorknob, her fingers trembling slightly. The metal was cold and rough under her touch. To her surprise, it creaked open, the sound echoing through the silent woods. She hesitated for a moment, then pushed the door wider. She stepped inside, her heart pounding with anticipation. The floorboards creaked under her weight, and the musty smell of the old house filled her nostrils. What would she find in this mysterious place? Her eyes scanned the room, taking in every detail, every shadow. On a small table, Annabel saw an old book. It seemed out of place, almost as if it had been left there for her to find. It was bound in leather and fastened with a silver clasp. The cover was worn, but the intricate designs were still visible, hinting at the book's age and importance. She opened the book carefully, her fingers tracing the edges of the pages. The paper was yellowed with age, and the ink had faded slightly, but the drawings were still clear. Inside was a beautifully drawn map. The lines were delicate, almost as if they had been drawn with a feather quill. The map showed a winding path through the Whispering Woods. Trees were drawn with meticulous detail, and small symbols marked various points along the path. It led to a place called the Crystal Falls. The name was written in elegant script, and a small drawing of a waterfall was etched beside it. Annabel felt a surge of excitement. Her mind raced with possibilities. What secrets did the Crystal Falls hold? What treasures or mysteries awaited her there? This must be the start of a real adventure. With the map in hand and determination in her eyes, Annabel knew she had to follow the path. The journey ahead was uncertain, but she was ready to face whatever challenges came her way. Following the map, Annabel ventured deeper into the woods. She walked past towering trees and babbling brooks. The sun warmed her face and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. The path led her to a sunlit meadow. Butterflies fluttered among the colorful wildflowers. Rabbits hopped playfully in the tall grass. Annabel felt a sense of peace and joy. As she walked, Annabel realized something. The woods weren't so scary after all. They were filled with beauty and life. She felt grateful for this adventure. As Annabel continued on her journey, something magical happened. The animals in the woods began to talk to her. A wise old owl hooted greetings from a tree branch. A mischievous squirrel chattered secrets in her ear. A family of deer gracefully crossed her path, their eyes twinkling with kindness. Annabel couldn't believe her ears. The animals told her stories of the whispering woods. They spoke of the magic that lived within the trees and streams. Annabel listened with wide-eyed wonder. She was living in a real-life fairy tale. Section 5. The Challenge of the Lost Words. The animals told Annabel about the Crystal Falls. It was a place of powerful magic, they said. But the falls had been silent for many years. The guardian of the falls, a wise old willow tree, had lost its voice. Without the willow song, the magic of the falls had faded. The animals were worried. They needed someone to help the willow tree. They needed someone to bring back the lost words of its song. Annabel knew she had to help, but how could she possibly find the willow's lost words? Section 6. Annabel's Growing Courage. Annabel had never faced a challenge like this before. She felt a little scared, but she remembered the animals' trust in her. She wouldn't let them down. She took a deep breath and gathered her courage. She would find the willow's lost words. She would bring magic back to the Crystal Falls. Annabel asked the animals for help. They told her about the ancient oak, the wisest tree in the forest. Perhaps the ancient oak knew the willow's lost words. Section 7. The Wisdom of the Ancient Oak. Annabel followed the animals' directions. She finally reached a clearing in the woods. And there it stood, the ancient oak, its branches reaching towards the sky like giant arms. The ancient oak had seen countless seasons come and go. Its bark was thick and gnarled, and its leaves whispered secrets in the wind. Annabel felt very small standing before such a magnificent tree. Annabel told the ancient oak about the willow tree and the lost words of its song. The ancient oak listened patiently, its leaves rustling softly. Section 8. The Secret of the Whispering Woods. The ancient oak spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. It told Annabel that the willow's lost words weren't lost at all. They were hidden within the heart of the whispering woods. The ancient oak explained that the woods themselves held the key to restoring the willow's voice. Annabel just had to listen closely. The whispers of the wind, the songs of the birds, the rustling of the leaves, they all held the willow's lost words. Annabel closed her eyes and listened to the symphony of the forest. She heard the gentle chirping of crickets, the melodic calls of birds, and the soft whisper of the wind through the leaves. Section 9. A New Understanding. As Annabel listened, she realized something. The sounds of the forest weren't just noise. They were a language, a beautiful and ancient language, and she was beginning to understand it. She heard the willow's sadness in the mournful coo of a dove. She heard its hope in the cheerful chirping of a robin, and she heard its love for the forest in the gentle rustling of leaves. Annabel now understood what she had to do. She had to gather these sounds, these emotions, and carry them to the Crystal Falls. She had to remind the willow tree of its own song, a song woven from the very essence of the woods. Section 10. The Magic Within. Annabel followed the path to the Crystal Falls, her heart filled with purpose. She whispered the sounds of the forest, the language of the woods as she walked. She reached the withered willow tree. It stood silently by the dried-up falls, its branches drooping with sadness. Annabel closed her eyes and remembered all the sounds she had gathered. She spoke to the willow tree, her voice filled with the love, hope, and resilience of the whispering woods. She whispered of the sun's warmth, the rain's gentle touch, and the wind's playful dance through the leaves. Section 11. Annabel's Return. In the heart of the whispering woods, where the trees seemed to whisper secrets to those who dared to listen, Annabel stood with a sense of purpose. She had always felt a connection to this magical place, but today was different. Today, she was on a mission. As Annabel spoke, something magical happened. Her words seemed to weave a spell, causing the very air around her to shimmer with anticipation. The forest responded to her voice, as if it recognized the power within her. The willow tree trembled, its branches swaying gently. It was as if the tree itself was waking from a long slumber, responding to Annabel's call. The leaves rustled softly, creating a melody that harmonized with the wind. Then, a soft melodic hum began to vibrate from its trunk. The sound was soothing, like a lullaby from the heart of the forest. It resonated through the air, touching everything in its path with a gentle caress. The hum grew louder, transforming into a beautiful song. The notes danced through the air, filling the forest with a sense of wonder and magic. It was a song of renewal, of life returning to the land. Water began to flow again from the top of the falls, cascading down the rocks in a sparkling torrent. The crystal falls, once silent and still, now roared back to life. The water sparkled in the sunlight, creating a dazzling display of light and color. The air shimmered with a renewed energy, and the crystal falls came alive once more. Annabel had done it. She had brought back the magic that had been lost for so long. The forest seemed to celebrate with her, its energy vibrant and alive. She had brought back the willow tree's song and restored magic to the crystal falls. Annabel stood by the waterfall, feeling a sense of accomplishment and joy. She had succeeded in her quest, and the forest was grateful. As she made her way out of the Whispering Woods, she carried a newfound wisdom in her heart. The journey had changed her, teaching her the importance of courage, determination, and the magic that lies within. She had discovered the magic within herself, the courage to face challenges and the power of listening to the world around her. Annabel knew that this was just the beginning of her adventures, and she was ready to face whatever came next with confidence and grace.